even though there's political sensitivities, even though there's going to be some fallout one way or another of having done this, we still did it. We being the government, we did it because we had the information, we had the evidence, and it was the right and lawful thing to do.
Former US President Donald Trump's Florida home was searched by the FBI on Monday evening in what he says was a raid. He said Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach was occupied by a large group of FBI agents who broke into his safe. Trump is thought to be preparing for a possible third presidential run in 2024. He's facing numerous investigations, including a congressional inquiry into the 6th of January Capitol riots. Well, meanwhile, the Republican Party is reportedly trying to leverage anger over the search to generate fundraising for candidates ahead of midterm elections. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Michael Tabman. He's former FBI special agent. Michael, thanks very much for joining us on Times Radio.
Thank you for having me.
What's your reaction to this operation?
Well, it's certainly extraordinary in the fact that the FBI has not done this before in terms of searching and presenting a search warrant to a former president. But that is not to be confused with the fact that there's been opportunity to do so and they chose not to. We just haven't done that because the opportunity, at least in my lifetime, has not existed. And had Richard Nixon not been pardoned, we might have done it then. So just extraordinary in the historic sense that it hasn't been done. But having been through many search warrants in my career and understanding the amount of work and evidence that must be produced, it certainly appears to me that the FBI followed the rule of law. There was a probable cause of a crime that had been committed, and the evidence would be found where they were looking for it. They obtained the warrant and properly executed the warrant, per federal criminal procedure.
Well, Donald Trump says it's a witch hunt, it's politically motivated. This has been done with that in mind.
Well, of course he does. He says that about every time he doesn't like the outcome of some action. He does play the victim well. There's no indication that this is politically motivated. The FBI and the Department of Justice have released no information about it. We're all kind of guessing as to what they're looking for. We're not even sure what the investigation is. So without putting out any information, no one's saying anything derogatory about Trump. And if it was strictly political, I doubt this would have made it up through the ranks of the FBI, through the ranks of the Department of Justice, to a federal judge who was a neutral third party and who would have approved it, knowing that there's a very good chance that this is all going to become public. And if it was strictly politically motivated, the harm that would be done by any blowback certainly outweighs any advantage or political advantage that one perceives in simply serving the search warrant. So just serving the warrant, I think, is not an act. It's not an accusation. It's just simply a search warrant.
Does it surprise you, the comments from the White House spokesperson earlier, that they only learnt of this through public reports?
No, I'd actually be surprised on the opposite. Historically, and probably with the exceptions of Donald Trump, presidents have remained segregated from the law enforcement activities of the Department of Justice. Though the Attorney General is appointed by the president and answers to the president, here we find the concept of a president becoming involved in domestic police actions somewhat troubling. So I know on other high-profile cases that involve the FBI or ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, certain major decisions usually stopped with the Attorney General and did not involve the president. So that would be consistent with how the jurisprudence in the federal government.
So is it your understanding that they did seize documents from the building, from his Mar-a-Lago home?
Well, my understanding is only based on what everyone else is hearing on the news and speculation. I have no inside information. So it sounds from the way it was executed that this was a white-collar type of search warrant where they'd be looking for documents, possibly in electronic format as well. So maybe it involved computers or other communication devices. But it certainly sounded like they were seeking information as opposed to physical objects like stolen property, which I guess the documents would be as well if they belong to the federal government, but as opposed to contraband or drugs or something like that.
So for them to have gone to these lengths, which you say, which is the first time that this has happened, Does that mean it's possible there's something that's very, very damning to the president in those documents that they're looking for?
That would be my guess. I mean, this search warrant was served on Mar-a-Lago, his residence, and we have to reach the level of probable cause, which I'm sure most people have heard about. It's not quite the level of beyond a reasonable doubt, but there's probable cause and there's probable cause. And I'm sure in any judge's lifetime, they've looked at affidavits and felt, okay, it's not the strongest case, but we've reached probable cause. I'm going to guess in this case, given the political sensitivities of it and the implications involved, that not only did the FBI produce significant evidence, but so did Department of Justice assure that there was more than adequate probable cause, and I'm sure the judge felt very comfortable that there was overwhelming evidence to do what we're saying is such an extraordinary step.
What do you think this will do in terms of, there's a lot of Republicans very sort of angry about this, trying to leverage anger over it, saying that this wasn't, they should, angry about what has happened. How do you think this will affect Trump's grip on the Republican Party?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. We certainly see now that, the extremist faction and the Republicans are behind him. The Republicans didn't have any problems when Hillary Clinton was being investigated, though she was not president. She was a presidential candidate. No one likes it when it's their party and their candidate. That's just red herring. They should be actually happy. And I mean this, that the Department of Justice sees no one above the law. We are a country of laws, rule of law, not man. And that even though there's political sensitivities, even though there's going to be some fallout one way or another of having done this, we still did it. We being the government, we did it because we had the information, we had the evidence, and it was the right and lawful thing to do.
Michael Tabman, former FBI special agent, thank you very much for joining us this evening on Times Radio.